I'm super curious while we're chilling and waiting for people to come. If you have access to the chat, can you share how you heard about this event? And if you don't, feel free to speak. We'll turn off mics once we get started. But how did you hear about this in the first place? Oh, that's better light. Much better. You're on my email list from the Intensive Summit. Awesome. I love me some Stephanie Feld. She kicks butt. And in all like just transparency, I'm her business coach. But it didn't happen that I love her because I'm her business coach. I took her into business coaching because I love her. Yeah, I've been blowing up y'all's emails. Heads up. If you have multiple email addresses with us, you're going to get multiple of the same emails, and that might be annoying. So let us know if that's the case, and we will fix it for you. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is one of my favorite days of the training because we reconnect with whatever the dream life was that you were so stoked about when you set about creating your private practice. And most of us had some pretty big dreams, and many of us have accidentally rebuilt the old life that we were trying to escape from in our private practice. And not for a lack of wanting it to be different, but just because we sort of fell into what we thought we were supposed to do. So we're going to talk a lot today about how to reclaim that dream life, like very specific action steps, and how to get private pay clients, which that's going to be unfolding over the course of these 5 sessions together. So you're going to want to come to each one. They kind of build on one another. If there's a day where you can't come, make sure that you catch the replay, because I talk about the ones that we previously did pretty frequently. And you're going to be like, what is she talking about? What formula? So try to, as much as you can, come live. And if you can't, watch that replay as soon as you can. Welcome, Carly. Hi, Michelle. So glad to see you guys here. We're going to get started in just about 8 minutes, and I start right at the top of the hour. So if you need a potty break or you want to get something to drink, you are going to love to have some markers and pens and paper and things like that handy. Or if you prefer, if you're a digital person, you can do it on your computer. But I think you'll enjoy having something to write with or, expand your thoughts on digitally or physically. If you guys could see my floor right now, what you see behind me looks like I've got my life together. It looks fairly organized. What is on the floor is not, but I hid it from your view. There are markers, there are Post-its, there are index cards. We've got the whole floor covered with planning for this free series. Your camera isn't functioning, or my camera isn't functioning. I'm hoping it's yours. I would absolutely love to see your faces if you're willing to share them. It really helps me read the room. We have like 90 slides, so I'm able to figure out where you guys are and what you need more of and dig deeper there and like go quickly over the things that you don't need so much of if I can see your faces and read your cues. So if you could, I would deeply, deeply appreciate it. And I don't care if you're eating, I don't care if you're in your jammies, I don't care if you have makeup on, it is all good. In most of my courses, I have pajama bottoms on and probably no makeup on. So I only get fancy for these. And this is as fancy as it gets. Hey, Carly, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm not like all vulnerable here by myself. Steven, oh, he came and he left. I hope he's coming back. Steven's been to probably 3 of these free training series. And he reminds me of me with my own coaches. Like, I just know if I get in the room with them, I'm going to be more motivated and I'm going to get more done. So I hope that you guys end up feeling the same. We're going to share, when a few more people get here, a few things about yourself. What's up, Steven? So, kind of get your mind ready to share what state you're in, because maybe you're going to get some referrals from your peers, what license type you have, and what kind of clients you absolutely love working with. The more specific, the more likely you will be to get referrals. Let me know if my mic is not loud enough, because I can move it. It's a little bit lower than I am used to. Welcome, 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 everybody. All right, so we're going to be starting in 5 minutes, right on time. You are here to learn all about how to reboot your practice into the dream practice that you set out to build in the first place. A big part of that is going to be reclaiming your time, your energy, and money, and making more of all 3 of them. So I hope that that's what you're here for, because that's what we're going to be doing. If you would like to get a drink, now's the time. If you need to pee, it's also a good time for that. And getting your pens, papers, notebooks, Post-its, index cards, all the things handy so that you can kind of open up that right side of your brain. We're going to be in the feels some of today. Our next meeting, we're going to be in that left side of your brain quite a bit. So enjoy it while we're here. We got right brain energy today. Welcome, Denise. Hi, Maddie. Shannon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's so good to have you all here. I was just sharing before you walked in that it's super helpful to me if you are willing to turn your camera on. It's going to be almost 2 hours of us working together, and it is interactive. I'm not expecting you to speak up, so don't worry about that. I don't care if you're in your jammies. I don't care if you have makeup on. I don't care if your hair is done, not done. It just helps me to read your cues if I can see your faces. We got a lot of material that we can dive into. I will spend more time where I can see that you really need it, and less time where I can see you starting to nod off because you already know it. So the more I can see, the better. Michelle, awesome. No problem. I appreciate that. And I'm super glad that you're even here. This is a little bit different than a lot of the webinars that you've been used to. Have you, raise your hand if you've been to other sorts of webinars where you learn stuff online, not CEUs, but this kind. Yeah, okay. So, maybe you have had the experience where they teach for like 15 minutes and then they sell you on something for 45. Has anybody been to one of those? I've been to so many of those, okay? There's zero selling happening today. There's zero selling happening in the next one. There's a little bit of selling happening in the following one. So you're going to get a shit ton of information and learning, because 97 to 99% of you are never going to buy anything from me. And this is my way to create accessibility. The more free help I give, the more I feel like I'm leveling out the playing field for therapists to be able to have better lives. And that is very important to me. Yeah. So no stress about that. I'll tell you when I'm sliding into like, hey, do you want my program? And then you can choose to stay or not stay for that part. I won't be stealthy about it. I will also share with you guys, there's some things that you do to try to get people interested in your stuff that I want y'all to be able to do. So when I'm doing those things to you, I will tell you so that you know that you can do them with the people that you're talking to. We don't do shady marketing here. So it's going to be stuff that you're going to feel comfortable with. And if you're not, don't do it. Hey, Eric, it's good to see you here. I love it when people who've been through my courses show up for this. It makes me very happy. I love it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, let me take a look at time. We've got 2 minutes. So 2 minutes means grab your water, your coffee, your tea, well, it's a little early for a fancy drink. Whatever's going to make you like really in the zone. Pencils, pens, papers, Post-its, markers, highlighters, all of the things. We're going to be in quite a bit of right brain energy. We're going to be in feeling stuff today. In our next one, where we talk a lot about math and money, we're going to be very left brain. So really, if you're a right brain kind of person, feel into it today. I've asked, for those of you who are just joining, if you can turn on your camera, I would super appreciate it. You do not have to, but you can be in your jammies. You cannot have your hair done. Yes, we will be recording this. And we give freebies to those people who come live. And we got 3 freebies for you today. So if you can be here live, be here live. And that's true for every one of the events. I'll tell you what's coming up in just a few minutes and what the freebies are for each thing. Welcome. So glad to see you. All right. 1 minute left. It's hard for me to wait. Welcome, Brian, Irene, Madeline, Megan, Lisa, Tony, Jamie. It's good to see you here too. Okie dokie dokie. Let us get our cameras on. If you're willing to turn your camera on, Anna's here. Hi. It's so cool to see you guys. Hey, Eric. If you are willing to turn your camera on, I appreciate it super, super, super a lot because I can read your cues and I can tell if I'm getting boring and then I can change. And we've got a lot of material we can cover. There are some places that you may have already, you already know that stuff. So I'm going to check in with you. And if I can read the room that a bunch of you already know, we're going to skim right past that and get into deeper meat that's more helpful to you. So the more feedback I can get, the better. I do try to pay attention to the comments as well, but it can be tough. So Chantel, who is on my team, is in the comments. So if you need links to our calendar, if you have not added us to your calendar, do that because the schedule's a little bit confusing this time. Add that to your calendar. The Zoom link is already in there. You're set up for success. She will drop that link for you. And she's going to give you the links to the freebies as well, but not immediately because I am, what's it called when you're somebody kidnaps you and then there's ransom? It's ransom for being here. So I'm going to hold you hostage. That's the word I'm looking for so that you can get your freebies. The freebies are pretty badass. I'm pretty excited about them. And if you're going to end up buying the course that I'll talk about 3 sessions in, we will have all of those freebies in there for you. Okay. All right. Let us start by getting to know each other. So here's the deal. The people in this room could become your referral sources. I would love for you to get enough clients by the end of these 5 sessions that you're like, girl, I'm joining your marketing program because I've got all these buku dollars coming in and I want to keep that going. That would make me super happy. So in the chat, please share your license type, where you can practice. If you're SciPacked, you don't have to put the 40 odd states, just put SciPacked. We'll know you can practice in a lot of places. And who you love to treat. And I will be listening for generalists because we're going to talk about how freaking important it is for you to be specific in your marketing to attract the right clients. So you're allowed to have as many right client types as you want. Truly, you can have 60. But we do have to name them specifically for people to know who the heck to refer you to. Okay, pop it down in the chat, where you can practice, who you love to see. If by the end of this call, somebody could send you a referral, who would that person be? And it's not whoever can pay my $250 session fee. We have to get a little bit deeper than that. Okay, pop that into the chat. Let me get to know you a little bit. And I really love if you guys see somebody who's in your state and you're like, oh crap, I reach the same people you do. You guys should be connecting. And if there's somebody who you're like, ooh, I hate doing that. I would love to send referrals your way when they come through my free consultations. Connect with that person. Get their email, communicate. Carrie Warren is here. Girl, I am glad to see you here. I owe you an email and some answers. Carrie is in my step-by-step program where she's learning to build an online therapy practice. And I just discovered that the automation that is supposed to send her questions to me was not. So I just saw that you had submitted several questions and I owe you several replies. You can always stalk me. If something like that's happening, you can stalk me, but we've fixed it now. So I will be replying to you. All right, I see Texas. Ooh, couples and teens. So that right there, a lot of people don't like doing couples work and a lot of people aren't willing to do teens work. So I hope you guys are writing down Tanner's information because that's going to be a kick butt referral source. Psychoanalyst, super rare, right? So that's going to stick in our memory. We got a psychoanalyst here. We'll know who to refer. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. All right, for those of you who are just coming in, we are going to meet until 10 minutes till 3 my time. I'm in the East Coast. You can do the math. It's about 2 hours, but I'm going to release you at 10 minutes till so you can go pee, take good care of yourself. We're going to be talking a lot about boundaries today, and I am going to respect yours. You probably want something to drink. You might want a snack. You're definitely going to want something to write on and write with. We're going to be in right brain energy today. So whatever you got to do to be in that place, do it. And if you are willing, those of you who've been here for 15 minutes are sick of hearing me say this. If you are willing, please turn on your cameras. This is not high pressure. You can be in your jammies. You can have no makeup on. You can have a lot of makeup on. You can be in drag. Do not care. I just would love to see your faces so I can read the room to know if I'm being super boring and need to go deeper, go lighter, move forward, etc. And I ask for lots of engagement in the chat. So this is probably not a training where you're going to be watching Netflix in the background at the same time. The way that I approach this is I teach it just like I would be teaching in my paid for course. It is the way that I like to keep things accessible. So many of you will have been to webinars where they teach for 10 or 15 minutes and then they pitch you on something for 45 or 50 minutes, hands up if you've ever been to something like that, right? I have been to a lot of those things. There's no pitching today. There's no pitching in our next meeting. There's a little bit of pitching in the third meeting and a little bit in the fourth and a little bit in the fifth, okay? I will let you know when that part is happening so you can tune out if you do not want to hear it. My point is, I want you to be here ready to learn and to implement. So this isn't just absorption. Every time we meet, each of us is going to come up with a little micro action step that you can take that's going to move you closer to a full-time practice. You're already taking one right now by putting in the chat where you practice and who you love to work with. And I hope you guys are connecting to one another. If you get nothing else out of this, let's connect to each other. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Do not expect these slides to match because that is not my personality. Some of them will be cute and some of them will not be cute. Let me know in the chat, just so I know how in depth to go with this. Have you been to one of my trainings before, or is this a brand new experience for you? It would help me to know that. Okay, first new. Okay, oh, this is good. This is helpful. Okay, so I should tell you a little bit about me then, right? Oh, stand up. Okay, cool. So I should tell you a little bit about me. All right, you got your notebooks. I've already said that like 16 times. Hopefully you are already putting in the chat where you can practice, who you love to work with, and your license type, if that's important to you, to connect with other people of your license type. We do no license shaming here. We do not have license hierarchies here. All right, I'm Amber, and I have been teaching online courses for therapists since 2015. You want to see the slide? You don't want to see me right now. Let me give you the slide. Like most of you, I started in crisis stabilization units and community mental health. Anybody else in the house work in CSUs or CMHCs? Right? Boy, they throw us in the deep end early on, don't they? I mean, the stuff that we see early on more than prepares you for anything you can see in your private practice. Throughout university, I did crisis phone counseling. I've worked in residential homes for people with schizophrenia. I've worked in clinics for people with DID, but back in my day, it was known as MPD. I worked as a university professor, and then I got the cushy job in university counseling centers. Anybody else work university counseling centers? Have you noticed how it moved from cushy to a shit ton of work? Anybody else? Anybody else? Yeah, it went from like, oh, we're like the premier, we're the easy peasy. No, then it turned into really hard stuff. And for me, I promise I won't bore you too long with my story. I know it's relevant to some of you. I was sort of on that track that we're told, at least my generation was told, like, this is what you do. You go to undergrad, you go to grad school, you're going to make enough money, right? Anybody else told that, right? And then nobody mentions that when you take that $200,000 loan to go to grad school, that no amount of money is ever going to pay that shit off, right? Or that when you ascend in a position, like I moved from regular therapist to clinical director, training director, blah, 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 that it actually got a lot less fulfilling. Like I always thought if you just keep achieving, then like you're going to achieve a good life. And that was not actually happening. I was commuting 10 hours every single week, and I was easily working 50 hours a week. Now, part of that was my own shit. Like anybody else, like over hyper achiever, right? I can't blame that all on the job. But I was realizing like, this is not super sustainable. And my partner at the time and I would kind of like get out of this stress zone by talking about what we were going to do in the future. And we talked about like, we're going to buy a boat and we're going to travel the world. We're going to circumnavigate and we're going to live on the boat for like 2 years and it's going to be amazing. And we were saving money for that. And like, it was sort of getting me through the days, you know? And then some shit happened and I had to leave that person. And literally, I'm not kidding, literally the next day, after we have put off this dream for 13 years, because we're like, oh, we got to make more money. No. The next day, he bought that boat and he got on it and he started sailing around the world. I mean, and I had been saying, I'm sharing a little bit more than I should. I had been saying, maybe we should just do it. Maybe we should do it. Maybe we should do it. And they were like, let's wait till things are better. Anybody do that? Like, yes, definitely going to live that dream life, but like, let me let all my ducks get in a row first. Anybody? The more you engage, the happier I am. The happier I am, the better I teach. Okay. So he did that. And my reaction was cry, clearly. But then hell to the no, this is not how this is going to go down, right? And it still pisses me off to this day, but it definitely made me start thinking, I got to get out of this situation sooner rather than later. And that year, I started positioning myself to leave my cushy, predictable university counseling center job where I was making a good chunk of money to go on my own. And at that time, this was like 2014, 2015, I didn't know anybody, nobody was doing online therapy work, save one person. But I knew that I wanted to travel a lot. Is anybody else real big into travel? Like you just want to be able to get up and go and do cool shit. I wanted to travel. And I knew that if I had a physical practice, not only was it going to be difficult to travel, but I also like to move. Like I move every 5 years to somewhere new. And that wasn't going to work either, because how was I going to build up a caseload every 5 years? So I was pretty sure that I needed to be online. And if any of you are like, why the hell is she telling us all this? It's because I want you to think about, and today's all about this, what are my values for my dream life? Because we can genuinely build whatever we need to build to support that dream life, whether it's therapy or something different, okay? So I want you to be holding that in your head. I knew that guardrails for me was whatever I had to do was going to have to be online because I wanted to have that freedom of movement. But I also knew I did not want to work 40, 50 hours a week. So I was looking for something that was like 20. I started my online practice. Lucky me, it went very well. I went straight private pay, which was bizarre at the time. And all of a sudden, I was not commuting those 10 hours a week. And I was literally working half the hours, making more money. So 20 hours versus 50, and making the exact same amount of money, including my benefits package, because I did the math, right? I share that because you shouldn't just listen to any random person on the internet. It should be somebody who has done it and whose values align with yours. So if any of that sounds like anything that you are interested in, then you are in the right place. And if you've got a little bit of a stubborn streak in you, you are also in the right place. If you know, like my dream life is worth it. So this is going to be the order of operations. I'm going to have to step back so I can see my own slide. Day one is your dream practice reboot. So we're going to get you super clear on what your values are. And then I'm going to challenge you a little bit to live closer to them tomorrow. So not by the end of the 5th day, but tomorrow. So it's going to be very right brain, but the next one, training day 2, is going to be very left brain, because once we dream it, we have to get real practical. How are we going to make it happen? And the first piece of that is getting real clear on the money issue. I hear over and over people say, I want to make 6 figures, multi-6 figures, but this is very arbitrary number. They have not done the math to know how much do I actually need to make? How much would be even better? How much to pay off my loans and afford my dream house, right? So we're going to get very clear on that and super clear on what your session fee needs to be if you want to do 12 sessions a week or 20 or 25. Then we're going to go deep into marketing. So once we know how much you need to be making an hour, we got to find those people, or better yet, we have to get found by those people. Okay. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do that with your marketing. And once they find us, We got to make sure that they pick us. So that is going to be day 4, how you get picked by people / copywriting. And then on our 5th day, every one of you is unique. So you will have a quiz that shows you what kind of marketing strategy fits best for you, your psychology, and your ideal clients, so that we can build that out, your unique to you marketing plan. Does any of that sound like it would be interesting? And even better, because I don't just want yesing, I would love to see which part has you most interested. So the dream stuff today, the money and the math, the how the hell do I get found by the people that I want to treat? Once they find me, how the heck do I get picked? And if these words don't resonate, use your own words, that's fine. And 5th day, how do I put this together into a very specific plan? How to get found, how to get picked. Okay, I can weave some of that in today too. Keep going, I want to see getting picked. Get found and picked, okay? How many of you live in a place where you feel like your local folks can't afford a private pay rate? Hands up, or if your screen's not on, if you could push like the little button to show me your hands, yeah? Okay, cool. We will mark it somewhere else. Okay, all right. And I do read the chat after these sessions. So if there are things happening that I'm like, oh, I need to pay more attention to that, I will catch it later. If you have specific questions, like your unique to you situation as we're going through, there are 6 hours of free coaching calls available to you. Come to one, come to all, I don't care. We will work through any unique obstacles for you. The idea about the economy, I am going to speak to just a minute. So how many of you are like, oh, hell, the economy is wackadoodle. I'm not going to be able to get private pay clients. Anybody? Anybody a little bit concerned? Okay. So I've been doing deep dive on this because, yeah, right? Like that seems intuitive. Like if the economy is bad, then everybody is like scraping their cash together. But you know what happens when the economy gets bad? Rich people get richer and poor people get poorer. So the middle class starts separating. The middle class never wanted to pay you $250 an hour anyway, right? Let's be real. Most of us are middle class and 250 sounds like a lot. So what tends to happen is the people with a lot of money are buying up resources during economic declines. They're getting richer with assets and they're getting richer with cash. So I'm talking like upper middle class and up. I'm not talking about like Jeff Bezos, who's never going to be affected by anything that's happening anywhere. And what's really cool about the way you're going to learn to market is you're going to be able to attract those clients for whom 200, 250, 300 is not a big deal. And that's going to allow you, if you wish, to offer more sliding scale spots for the people who are impacted by the economy. Many of you have heard me say this a million times, but when I was doing my practice, I'm on a sabbatical now, that's been like 2.5 years. When I was in my practice, 20 to 25% of my caseload was pro bono. And that was not coming out of my mortgage. It was not coming out of my student loan repayments. The people who were in my practice paying a high rate were able to subsidize the people in my practice who could not, okay? Does that help a little bit? Is there a little bit of, okay, all right, we're gonna hit it hard because I know it's hard to get past that fear. Okay, and I will tell you that those folks that I'm coaching who are seeing private pay clients are not having issues getting picked and getting found by them. Sometimes we have to tweak their marketing and do a little troubleshooting, but I've not seen there be a dip in high private pay fees, okay? Middle for sure. If you're in the middle, it's hard to get people at the $100 rate, $125 rate when the economy starts doing weird stuff. Harder. Okay, so here's how you know if you're in the right place. If you love your therapy work, but you are tired and you suspect that there's another way to do things, you're in the right place. If you hate therapy and you're like, I just want to stop doing this, then this is not going to be for you, okay? If you are ready to live like you help your clients to, you know, the yoga class, the self-care, the feet on the grass, if you want to do a little bit more of that in your life, then you're in the right place. If you want to be debt-free, to pay down your mortgage, if you have one, to get your retirement funded and start vacationing more, stop scraping by, you're in the right place. Which one of these speaks most to you? let me know. Number 3, debt-free, retirement funded, vacationing. Yes. Yes. Oh, that's cool. That's helpful to know. All of them, I know, right, Barbara? Exactly. They all sound great. Okay. So we're going to be making steps toward these like today and bigger steps over the next 5 trainings. Okay. Here is our agenda for today. And then I'm going to show you our agenda for the next 2 to 5 trainings as well. You can take a photo of this, but we also have this already loaded up in our calendar. So if you've not connected our calendar to yours, Chantel will drop that into the chat for you to do that. So we're going to break through some of your limiting beliefs today, the practical and the mindset. We're going to make sure that we're designing the structure of your practice to support your dream life. Instead of what I see a lot of people doing, which is they definitely have the dream of I want more, but what they do is somebody calls them and that person says, oh, I can only see you if you take insurance. And so they feel like they have to keep taking insurance. Or they have private pay clients, but somebody says, oh, well, I can only pay $125. Is that okay? And they say, okay, right? Or do what I did, which was super not helpful. And in my free consult, I'd be like, my rate is $150, but I can drop it if you can't afford it, before they said anything to me about needing to drop my rate, okay? So we're going to make sure that we're protecting the structure. I also want to talk to those of you, and I want to see your faces, who are working with big tech. And by big tech, I'm saying like BetterHelp, companies who get you clients, or proxy companies who are more like Alma or Headway, who are mostly helping with the insurance billing side of things. Let me know if any of you are partnering with those folks. Let me know in the chat. I'm not counting EAPs here, insurance or EAPs. I'm not counting those. Okay, Reimbursify, okay. Alma, Headway and Alma. Headway, Alma, okay. 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 So one of the freebies today, and we'll talk a little bit about this, is how to make sure that if you're partnering with someone, that they are not screwing you in terms of your license. So there's some risky stuff happening behind the scenes, and I have a little worksheet to walk you through how to check and see if your practice is protected if you're partnering with one of these folks. Sound good? Okay. And if I could just tell you like this one sucks and this one's okay, I totally would. I can't do that for 2 reasons. One, they really like to sue people who talk badly about them, especially the real big one that's on all the podcasts. And 2, some of them have changed, right? Like they got in trouble and they've changed the way that they do things. So there's no way for me to know about every single one, or I swear I would spill the tea in a way that was safe for me. Okay, here's the rest of our calendar. Feel free to take a screenshot, but I wanted you to see the freebies coming your way. You get 3 of them today. I'll talk to you more about those in a minute, but these are the freebies that are coming with each of your other sessions. So I'm really hoping you'll come. This is me trying to leverage your motivation to show up live. Okay, I'm going to move this one. So take a shot if you'd like to. 3, 2, 1. All right, I need to know what efforts you've tried so far to market. What have you already tried? And Chantel, if you have the ability to get an idea about how many people are here, please do. I can't count. There's too many. Okay. Tried Psychology Today. What else? Just started vending? Vending? I don't know what that is. Therapy Den. Okay, so directories. B2B, Psychology Today, networking events. What else? What have you tried? And if you're like, girl, I have not tried yet. I'm on insurance. That's why I'm here to learn how to try. That's fine too. Just let me know. Psychology Today, word of mouth. 60. Woo woo. Awesome. Okay. The more of you that are willing to show me your faces, the happier I will be, but you don't have to. You can hold your boundaries. You don't have to invest in my happiness. Awesome. Monarch, word of mouth, just starting. Okay. Oh. Okay, so most directories. Oh, this is good. Y'all are going to learn a lot. Okay, now I see a lot here. Carrie. Okay, so Carrie's in step-by-step. So she has a little bit of an advantage because there's a little bit of marketing training in there. Facebook business page, Google My Business, website, relationship marketing. Yes, awesome. Pinterest, Psychology Today, Therapy for Black Girls, Zen Care. Therapy for Black Girls gets a lot of referrals. So if that is a population that you are amazing at treating, and don't go acting like you're an ally and then put yourself in there as an expert, don't do that. That's not nice. But if you're actually specialized, it's a great directory. Okay, y'all are going to learn so much. You're going to be so happy.
Can I just ask a quick question to clarify what you're saying about therapy for Black girls?
Yeah.
Do you have to be African? Does the therapist have to be African in order to put themselves there?
I don't know. I don't know that.
Okay, so is the therapy for Black girls, or
Yes.
for African Americans? So what were you saying? Like, if you are an ally, what were you saying about don't do it if you're an ally?
Okay. Okay,
I
good.
misunderstood.
I'm glad you followed up on that. So something that really bothers me, and this is a personal soapbox, I really appreciate that everyone, including myself, wants people to know that you can be safe around us, right? Like, I'm an ally, I'm not a hater, I get that. But I do think it's a little bit dangerous when we put ourselves out there on our website saying we have a specialty in, let's say, LGBTQ issues, or, whatever the specialty is. That's different than saying, like, hey, I support you. It's a different thing to say that you're a specialist. And I want to make sure that we're putting ourselves out there accurately, because a lot of people get hurt by people saying they're a specialist in something that they're just like, hey, I'm a fan, like, I no beef with you. That's a different thing. So when it comes to therapy for Black girls, just go to the website, and I'm sure that they will let you know. There will be a for providers link. They'll let you know what their criteria are. And if that's something that you're like specialized in, then list yourself there, because it's a great referral source. Okay.
Right. So I think what you're saying is if you have specialist training in cultural competencies for the African culture, for example, then you can say it. But if you don't have that specialist training, then don't say it. I got it. Thank
That's
you.
how I feel. So that's just a personal beef that I have had. And I will try to separate things for you guys when it's like this is a rule versus this is my personal opinion that I feel very strongly about. I'll try to separate those things out. Okie dokie. Now, most of you have heard some things about how you're supposed to market. I would love to hear them in the chat, because there are a lot of wrong things floating out there. So you have surely heard you got to nail your niche. You got to post on social media. How many of you heard that? How many of you really don't want to do that? How many of you know you got to build a website? You got to get on directories. You got to do SEO, right? Okay. All right. Michelle says she's opposed to ads. Okay. All those things, the niche. Yep. So one thing you're going to hear me talk a lot about is I'm going to give you two things. One is social media is not important to your type of marketing. Social media is not important to your type of marketing. I will explain why, but just in case you leave super motivated today and you're like, where am I going to put my energy? Don't put it in social media. I'll give you some other avenues to pursue. The other thing is doing any one piece of the marketing puzzle, for example, getting found, isn't sufficient if we're not also doing the pieces that get you picked. So what I have seen in past years is that my students have spent a lot of money on a single piece of the marketing puzzle because they thought that that was the only piece. So like they paid somebody to put a website together for them, and the copy was great. The graphics were great. So when people landed there, they picked them, but nobody ever landed there because they hadn't worked on getting found, all of the things that generate traffic to the website, right? So, or somebody, I won't give a ton of examples because we're going to get into the weeds with it in a little bit. So doing one piece isn't going to be the right thing. We've got to put the puzzle pieces together. So again, if you leave here feeling super motivated, do things, but don't hire someone yet. There are lots of pieces that you can hire out for a lot of money that will not get you a result. All right. So I'm going to give you a little hope, just in case I'm overwhelming you a little bit already. $30K was the amount of money one of my coaching students was able to recover after doing a single exercise that you will get the freebie for. Okay. So what happened was she was on a whole lot of insurance panels. Let me know in the chat if you relate. A whole lot. And when we did the math and she knew she wanted to leave some of them because they were crap, right? So when she started doing the math with me on how many clients she had with each one, what was the average reimbursement she was making for each one, there was a tiny little change that we found quickly that we needed to make, which was insurance company X, I won't name names, was the biggest pain in the butt. She had to fight with them the most to get money. She had the fewest clients with them, and they paid the least. So in all three ways that count, they were trash. So all she did was get rid of that insurance and accept new clients from another insurance that she took that was paying her really well and was not a pain in the butt. So I'm pointing this out. I know most of you don't want to take insurance at all, but just in case you're with a bunch of insurance companies, we can make you a lot of money just by doing the math on which one you should break up with first. We don't have to go whole hog here. So you will get that freebie today for coming, and remind me to give you a password on that. And Chantel, please don't let me forget to give them that freebie. Okay, so let me get to know a little bit about you so I can make sure we're spending the most time where we need to be. I'm fully private pay, get it, girl, get it. So if you can tell me which one of these applies to you. I'm doing this because my screen is down here. Are you solo private practice? And if so, are you insurance, private pay, or a hybrid? A little bit both. Or do you run a group practice? And if so, are you insurance, private pay, or a little bit of both? Or do you work for someone else? And what I mean by that is you are working with BetterHelp or Headway or Alma, or, you're not really marketing your own practice. Somebody else is marketing it for you. And while you fill that out, the menopause is kicking in. So we're going to turn that AC down. Okay, be right back. Okay, solo, mostly private pay. Okay, so some of you are like private pay, but you're giving super bills. Work for college. Woohoo! Hey, twins. Okay, contractor. Okay, group, private pay. So working for a group practice. Is that what that means when you say contractor? Group, private pay, EAP, solo practice, mostly insurance. Solo, one insurance just applied to Headway. Okay, this is really helpful. Solo, mostly private pay, a little bit of Headway, solo private pay. Okay, those of you who are already solo private pay, I want to know about why you're here, because something's happening with those folks right now. And I want to see if the trend holds true with you. So share that. And if you're only private pay, let me know what your average reimbursement rate is per client. So not what's on your website, because I know we slide our scales, but what you typically collect across all your clients on average. Let me know, let me know. Changing my business models. Okay. Okay. Here because you want to know how to find the clients. Awesome. Okay. Awesome. Super helpful. Super helpful. Thank you. All right. I'm guessing that some of you are here because you're feeling a little stuck. You know what you want, but you're not sure how the hell to get there. So how do I get these clients? Let me know if I'm reading the room right. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a mindset that I want us to play with today. So I have had, 5 individual coaching sessions this week with super high achievers, just like y'all. And they know the marketing stuff. But when I sit down with them and I say, talk to me about what you want your dream weekly schedule to look like, here's what they're telling me. Okay, instead of seeing 35 clients a week, ideally I could see like 28. And instead of doing 3 sessions in the evening, every evening, like 2 would be good. I'm like, whoa, we're talking dream schedule, right? The dream schedule is like, I roll out of bed at 9. I have a cup of coffee delivered to me. My breakfast is in my bed. I slowly meander my way to my computer where I do a little bit of admin, clean up my email. I see 3 clients, and then I go out to the pool for a while. Like, can we try to break out of centering everybody else just for this session? So I used to have a boss. His name was Dan Jones. He was amazing, except in this way. when we would be in our like team meetings, we would be brainstorming ideas for something. I love a brainstorm because I feel like if you can come up with the ideas, you can solve a problem. Tell me what the problem is and let's figure out a way to solve it. But we start by brainstorming. And he would always, we're like the third idea in, and he's like, that's not going to work because blah, 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 blah. That's not going to work because blah, 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 blah. Don't be a Dan Jones today. So when your brain goes to nobody in my area will pay that rate, so my rate's going to be 140, we're not doing that today, just for today, okay? You don't have to make a single change in actual life, but we're going to dream today. Does that sound okay? You're going to notice yourself slipping. It's crazy how we slip. So let's go here. We're going to be possibilitarians today. I want you to imagine everybody in your life is super freaking supportive of your dream schedule. Every client is so dang excited to pay you whatever the rate is that you want to pay. Your spouse, your kids, everybody's super excited to get the hell out of your way and let you have time sitting in front of Netflix, binge watching something that's trashy, right? I want you to imagine everybody's on board so that you can center yourself just for these exercises, okay? Yes, maybe 225. If you dream it, we can do it. So just let me know what the dream is, and I promise you, I will tell you if it's truly not possible. But most things are, okay? So if you're being a possibilitarian, tell me what you would like more of. See, Teddy, you are my kind of woman. Here, remote, 2 days a week, all over the world, house sitting, 10 clients a week. Yes. That's dreaming. I want you outside of the damn box. If you've always dreamed of being a professional flute player, then I want to see 10 hours a week in your schedule where you're practicing and like going for gigs. I don't know where I came up with that. Whatever it is that you can allow yourself to dream. If you love to read, could we build in 2 hours every single day to be reading on the back porch with your favorite coffee or tea or whatever? One of my silly little dreams that I'm putting into my thing is I struggle to spend money sometimes because our childhood comes with us. But there's this company that delivers beautiful bouquets once a month, and they're gorgeous. And I want it. And I know it's frivolous, but I want it. I want it. It's on my dream board. Okay. So share. What would it be like? Go to the gym, start working at 11. Yes. Done by 3. Yes. Yes. And a wage that gets me out of debt. Yes. Spending the night with my child. Yes, yes, yes. 20 clients a week. Enough income to cover son's tuition. Heck yeah. Annual vacation, pay off the mortgage, volunteer through church. This is why I love therapists. Because when you ask them about their dream life, therapists are never like, I want to be on a mega yacht with a diamond encrusted choker and throwing money up in the air. Like, that's not how therapists think. They're like, I want to have time to volunteer with my church, right? We're decent human beings. So it's safe. You can let yourself dream. I love equine assisted therapy. There's a graduate of our step-by-step course who does this, Carly. Her name is Jamie Howard. Jamie Howard. You should definitely get in touch with her. All right, keep it coming. Sherry's like, oh, wait, I'm yacht shopping. It's okay. It's okay. Just, I mean, maybe not the diamond encrusted necklace, and hold retreats so we can come visit you. All right. So most of the time when I talk to clinicians, they're thinking, I want more time. I want private pay. I want higher rates. I'd love to travel. I want fewer clients. I'd like more flexibility, right? More freedom, an online only therapy practice, more income. Share what you got. There is some really nice science around if you write it down, if you say it out loud, more of this will come your way. And I don't mean in a magical manifesting way, although I'm down with that too. But I mean, like, unless we let ourselves start picturing something different, we don't take aligned action to get there. Diamond encrusted yacht. Oh, I'm going to like you guys. So here's your permission slip to say the things that you don't let yourself say in mixed company, right? So here we are shame-free. There's no shaming. If you want $500 an hour, you can say $500 an hour. Nobody's allowed to shame you here. I will kick you out. You mind your business. So dream however big you want to dream, right? Eat out without worrying, right? Exactly. Own a house and host dinners. I love it. I love it. Anna, that's so good. Okay. So we dreamed, we brainstormed. Now we're going to get a little bit practical. Is there something you need from inside yourself to allow yourself to dream more? I gave you permission, but is there something in you that needs to be released? Something you need to do for yourself so that you can dream more? And if so, what is it? And it might not be, but if so, what is it? For me, and if those of you who know me a while know that this is an issue for me, I struggle a little with putting other people first. And so it's actually hard for me to know what I want in a situation because it's just happens so fast that I'm picturing what this other person wants or needs. And I like helping people. So it's a reflex for me. That's something internally that I have to work on to put a pause in place so that I can really know, is this really what you want? What do you want? It's still hard for me. Okay. Letting go of having to have it all figured out first. Yes. Haley says, I've always had a hard time with that. What would you do if you won the lottery question? Ooh, what do you think it is? What's happening internally that might be blocking you from being able to dream? Teddy, I already know we're going to be BFFs. Getting focused, not being discombobulated. Yes. The idea that I'm selfish, putting others first, want to live in accord with my values and with social justice. This is the one I love. This is the one I love. So we're going to take a minute to talk about it. Okay. Who do you know who are the biggest givers to movements, whether it's a movement you like or not? Who can give the most to movements? Who can create the most change in movements? It's the people with either a shit ton of money, or it's the people with a lot of time so that they can go like do the actions associated with making systemic change, right? Does that make sense? Like you need a lot of money to move the needle, or you need a lot of time and visibility to move the needle. So what I find with therapists is the more you make, the more you give, whether that's making more time or making more money. If you go to church and you tithe and you're tithing 10%, I got to do easy math, y'all. Math is not my forte. If you're tithing 10%, you make 100,000. I know that's a bigger number. That is half of what you would be tithing if you were making 200,000 and giving 10%. It's exponential. The more you make, the more you can give of time, money, or energy. So this idea that I want to make change, therapists, probably everybody, when I think like I want to make change and a client comes to me and I'm like, dang, they can only pay $5 an hour and I really need to be making more money. My initial thought about how to help them is see them for $5 an hour, right? What if instead of seeing that human right in front of me who's pulling my heartstrings for that, what if I helped in a bigger way more people? Okay. What if you only were doing 12 hours a week of therapy, and then you were spending 20 hours a week building low-cost memberships for people in your specialty area to have access to the kind of information that you wish you had access to when you were in that same situation? When I was going through a really, really hard ending to a relationship that I may or may not have mentioned earlier, there was a website, I think it was called Bloom, and it was only like $10 a month. And at that time, I didn't know where I was going to be living. I didn't know, like, I was in a bad way. And it was $10 a month, and it was all about betrayal trauma. I sobbed my way through that membership. It was so freaking helpful. And it was accessible to me. I could not have afforded any decent therapist at that moment, but I could afford that. So don't think there's only one way for you to make change. Any of you interested in doing any sort of like membership or course or something like that on the side? Can you let me know in the chat? Okay. Well, awesome. Then we need to get y'all some more time. Okay. Is there anything externally that you need to allow yourself to take more aligned action in this direction. So for example, do you need somebody to watch the kids for 3 hours a week so you have more time? Do you need a spouse that's a little bit more supportive? What do you need external to yourself to allow you to take more aligned action? Or even from yourself, like to take action, not just to dream, but to take action. And as you type, I'm going to move us to the next slide. Guidance. Well, I got your guidance. Good. Yes, time and routine. Yes, yes, yes. More support and taking action on my own. A mentor. Internal focus. Stop being overwhelmed by what I think I don't know. Yes, more time, guidance, how to price it, tech support, mentorship. Oh, you guys are in the total right place. These are the things that I hear about all the time from people that I'm doing these trainings for. Worry that people are going to judge you. Some of them will. Worry that you're going to screw up how you roll out the change to your current clients. Lack of knowing how to do the dang thing. Worry that you're not clinically good enough to charge high rates. Anybody have that fear? Not having family support to do something different and it feeling risky, like you're the solo provider in your home. Worrying that you're being unethical or icky if you charge higher rates. These tend to come from some core beliefs, and they are things like, it's just not possible. We're going to break that one down. It's too hard. If any of these are aligning with you, write them down on your notebook. It's incongruent for me. I'd have to be a crappy person to do this. It's for others, but not for me. They're comfortable, doing the marketing things I'm not. Yeah, imposter syndrome. Yes, yes. So let's just attack a few of these here. So this idea that it's not possible, you guys, I coach hundreds of students on private pay marketing. I get to see them doing the thing. I'm seeing them do the thing. I wish that I had gotten started on this PowerPoint earlier so I could have showed you all the testimonials, but I'll get them together for the next 1 or 2 or 3 trainings of people doing it. They're absolutely doing it. And I have some data to show you as well in case you're a data person. Then this idea that it's too freaking hard. And I'm not going to lie, marketing is not easy, but it can be easeful if you know what the system is. And there's just a pretty darn easy system. You got to get found, you got to get picked. There are only 3 ways to get found, and there are only 2 things you have to do to get picked. So it's not hyper complex. And what I'd argue for you here is you feel like billing through insurance is easy. It's not going to be very many of you. Most of you don't find that easy. For me, I really worry about messing up. Like there's a little tiny bit of OCPD stuff going on there. And so the idea of having to get it right all the time for the rest of my life and not screwing up was too hard. And the idea of finding private pay clients seemed way easier because in my mind, I was like, well, if I just learn to market and I do it hard for a year, then I don't have to keep doing it. Whereas if I'm dealing with insurance, I have to do that shit forever. So marketing hard for a year, it used to be like 4 months, but I'm not going to lie, it takes a little bit longer now. Marketing hard for a year, I can do anything for that, right? So it's way easier than you think. It is time consuming. So I don't want to blow smoke. I want to be really transparent. It does take time to get there, as does any freaking worthy goal that there is. And the last, I know you guys already know this now, but if you're worried that making a bunch of money is going to turn you into a totally horrible person, just want you to check in with yourself. If you're a wretched person now, you're not going to be a wretched person with the kind of money you can make in a private pay practice. Now, I don't know who you would be if you were making $1 billion. There is like that saying that once you get that wealthy, you start doing weird shit. But I'm not helping you get to $1 billion, but I can help you get to multi-6 figures. So you're not broken, right? You haven't been doing things wrong. You just didn't have the puzzle pieces and you didn't have a picture of the puzzle to be able to put the darn thing together. But there are some things that you might be doing that are getting in your way. And I want us to clear those out of the way so that when you start engaging in your marketing, you can actually make progress. This is something I do a lot with clients. When we're starting to make progress, I'm like, hold on, let me predict the possible obstacles so that we can work around them. So let's talk a little bit about boundaries, We're going to talk about boundaries with time, money, and energy. Most people that I work with haven't built their business with their end result in mind. They didn't center what they wanted in their life. They just imagined if I build it, dream life will arrive, right? So we tend to build it around what feels safe rather than thinking future self, what does that person need and how can I build that into my structure? But we're going to change that right now. So most of you are going to need to reclaim some time, some money, and some energy if you're going to have enough of that energy and time to put into your marketing. So let's gather some of it together. Where do you know you are leaking time? I'm going to give you some hints. If you go over session time, and I want to see it in the chat, where are you leaking time? A lot of people slide over session time or stack clients back to back to back to back to back so that they don't have any transition time in between. So they end up on a Saturday doing all of their therapy notes. Or they work nights and weekends even when they don't want to. They want that time with their family or for freaking hobbies. Or if you can't remember the last time that you ate lunch not in front of your computer, you might be leaking time in community and mental health. So yes, all of the things. Yes, yes. Where are you leaking time? Oh, okay, I had to look at my slide. Write it down because we're going to do something about it in a moment. Okay. Where might you be leaking energy? How many of you see clients who maybe are not your perfect fit clients, but you're seeing them because they showed up and you need the money? Okay. Or, for example, people who just don't line up with your style. So, you know, when you're working with a client that totally lights you up, like you feel energized by it, you don't feel drained. And then there are clients who totally drain you, they're the total wrong fit. And then there are some who are kind of, you don't feel energized, you don't feel drained. They're not perfect fit, but you're taking them in. Clients keep showing up because I don't know how to let them go. Yeah, we're going to work on some scripts together for some of these hard conversations. If you leave sessions feeling heavy, but not proud, we might be attracting the wrong kind of client for you. Okay. Where else might you be losing energy? And then let's talk about money. How many of you slide your scale before clients even asked? Or they ask and you immediately drop by $50, not a lot, not a little bit? Or you say yes to insurance panels that you know are a pain in the butt and don't pay you enough? Or you avoid raising rates with your current clients even though inflation keeps inflationing? Anybody? Yeah. Or undercharging in ways that make you overwork. Most of us don't do the math that when we do take a client in a sliding scale, the only way then to make up that money is to see more clients. So it's not just that you're like, oh yeah, I'll give you a $50 break. You're actually then saying, okay, I have to take on another client to make that money back to pay my bills. Okay. So we need to reclaim these things, and there are 4 ways that you can do that. You can learn how to plug the leaks. So for example, we'll talk through some scripts in our coaching call about how can you compassionately talk to your clients about ending sessions on time, making that change. Okay. Some things are more delegating. So it takes me 4 hours to mow my lawn. If I'm doing 4 hours of therapy at $200 an hour, yes, that's right, then that is $800 that I could have made in that time when I was mowing the lawn. But I could pay somebody $100 to mow the lawn. That would give me a $700 gain. That makes sense. Where does it make sense to start delegating? There are some things we have to let go of. If you're perfectionistic about your therapy notes, like you don't do them, you don't do them, you don't do them, and then you take a freaking hour to write one, right? We're losing money, time, energy. And then all of us, like the way do we make it all up, right, is we make more money in less time. So where are you going to reclaim some dinero? I want to know. Let's highlight a couple things. For those of you who are working in a group practice, the split is probably 30-70 or 40-60. So every session, let's call it $100. You're giving up $30 to $40 per session. I'm not doing the math on that, but times 20 clients a week, that's a shit ton of money. Some group practices, honestly, I feel are worth it. If they're doing all of your marketing, they have gotten you all of the equipment, you love working with those people, that might be worth giving up $30 an hour every single session, maybe. But some of them aren't doing any of that stuff, right? If you are accepting insurance, the data on this tells us that you make, thank you for the comments, you guys, I love it. You make $60 less per hour taking insurance than private pay. And that's average insurance reimbursement, average private pay. How many of you have ever gotten a raise of $60 an hour in one go? Nobody. So what if you could give yourself that raise just by attracting some private pay clients and replacing an insurance paying client? $60 friggin' more an hour. I'll go deep in the math in another session. I want you to be thinking about, I'm going to ask you at the end to identify at least one micro action you can take this week to reclaim some time, some money, or some energy. One micro action. Even better if you can do it today. In one of those three categories, if you already know it, pop it in the chat. Is there one client that you're constantly going over session with that you could just have a lovely, compassionate conversation about? Hi, I notice I keep doing this. I'm going to make a change. I just wanted to give you a heads up. Just a sweet, gentle conversation. If you're losing time, maybe it's scrolling social media, maybe inefficient therapy notes. I have a discount for you guys for an AI software for therapy notes. If you'd like it, let me know. If you're commuting and you would prefer to be online at your house, if you're working too many hours, where are you losing time? Where are you losing time? And how do we make more? Thank you. I love it that you're committing to the changes. How do we make more energy? I want to check the time, make sure I'm on time here. Oh, good job, Am. Okay. How do I, Chantel, can you remind me to send out in an email the link to Barry's? I got them a discount for participating, but I have forgotten to put that in the emails. Okay. How do I make more energy? You guys, getting your flow client to be chasing you down to work with you is the most energizing thing I have ever done in my life. Whether it be in coaching or in therapy, having your flow clients find you makes your job so freaking fulfilling that you look forward to work every single day. It is one of the places that's been most, I don't know, uplifting for me in my work. Now, you will need to repel the wrong people in order to get the right people in. So when we talk about copywriting on whatever day that's happening, maybe day 4, we're going to talk about how you can repel the wrong people and attract the right people. Okay. Where are you losing energy? Let me see it in the chat. And this doesn't have to be just in therapy land. You know, like I make some bad decisions at night with scrolling on my phone, and that makes it hard for me to fall asleep. And then I don't get enough sleep. And then I wake up groggy, and then I don't want to get to work. And then I've wasted an hour in the morning scrolling some more because I can't wake up, right? Let's just own it. We're real humble here. We're willing to share our messy middles. So what are some of the places? Not ending session, taking way too long to write my therapy notes. Yes. Poor sleep. Get to bed on time. Yes. Working from home and getting distracted. Yes. Watching crime TV at night. I'm with you. I was just about to tell you somewhat a crime TV thing that I love, but that would be the antithesis of what we're supposed to be doing here. So I'm keeping my mouth shut. I need to stop watching. I don't need to encourage you to. So when we're talking about this, like some feelings that might come up are feelings of helplessness, of like, yeah, I know all these things are problematic, right? If we do not make changes, you will have regrets, okay? I want you to get really clear right now. If you do not make some changes, What can you predict your future self will have regrets about? I want you to think about the ways your life is currently not where you want it to be. And if you do not make a change, I'm trying to really harness your motivation, y'all. If you do not make a change, what is it that you will regret the most? I'm going to share a story while you're thinking. It's a just trigger alert. It's around loss. So if you need to daze out for just a minute, I'm not going to like get into the weeds. I came home to visit my family. I've mostly lived away from my family for, decades. And I came home to visit for an uncle's funeral. And we're at the house, like as one does, and we're hanging out with the family after the funeral. And we start talking, and my cousin says to me, she lived in Hawaii. She was like, I can only get home twice a year because she lives far away. And I started thinking, if my dad only lives another 10 years, I'll only see my dad 20 more times in my life. That hit me in the gut. The idea that I will only see my father, who I adore, 20 more times in the whole of my life was one of those reality checks that I deeply needed, because I immediately started thinking, how do I move back to Florida? Because I need to have that time. I need to have that time with my family. So what is it for you? What is it that you can predict that you will have deep regret around? Like, I want to travel a lot. I don't know if when I'm 80, I'll be like, oh, I wish I would have traveled more, in a deep regret way. Like, it'll feel like a loss, but it won't feel like I didn't get to see my dad. What are the deep regret things? And some of you may have already experienced a deep regret. Yeah. Lost time with my daughter. Victoria. Regret losing time with my child and being there as he grows up before he moves away and is an adult. My husband and I have had 2 dogs that we basically built our lives around. And we lost them both last December. And I remember feeling like I am so grateful that I have a life where I get to work from home and be with them. Like, getting to be with them every day for years made that loss a little tiny bit easier. And knowing that their lives were extended because I was able to be home and, all the medicine, all the things that you need to do when your dogs are older, right? That made a huge difference. It really makes a difference in your life. Thank you, Lisa. So I'm hitting it heavy on purpose. I want you to bring up the feelings because you're going to learn a lot of shit over these next 5 sessions, and your motivation is going to go like this. And I want you to be able to tap into your why so that you can stay in momentum. Okay. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry, Ivana. I'm so sorry. I know that pain deeply. So, micro action, you've already identified at least one thing that you can change in the next week. Let's talk about boundaries. So sometimes you got to really think this shit through, because we've been acculturated, particularly women, to think that if you want to make more money, you're greedy, you're selfish, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is, as all of you have already said, what you really want is more freedom. How do we get more freedom? We have to have more time. In order to get more time, we have to be making more money. That's just the math. The maths. So this is how I see therapists kind of messing up. And I'm saying it because all of us do this. We think, okay, I need more money, so I'm going to take more clients. Anybody ever been there? Like, okay, we've got some expenses coming up. Let me bring in more clients. But if you bring in more clients, you don't have time to build the systems that are going to bring you in higher paying clients. You don't have time to market. Many of you need more time. And so you think, well, I'll just outsource my marketing. We're going to talk in depth about why that is not helpful. And so we do some things to try to get ourselves some time or some money. We take insurance because they're like, oh, great, now I don't have to market, right? I've already mentioned that the problem with insurance is it's a $60 an hour less payment. Whereas if you just change 5 of those clients to private pay, you're going to be at almost a $16,000 a year raise. Anybody, could you use 16 grand? Nobody? I see no heads nodding. Thank you, Anna. Okay, I have been there too. So this is not shamey, blamey. I want to show you some of the problems that some of our peeps have. I'm going to turn the computer a little bit so I can see my screen. Some of the problems that some folks who have been in the course have had with insurance. And these are probably consistent with experiences that you have had as well. So I'm going to just go through them kind of quickly. But the fact that people are waiting 9 months to get paid by a company for work that they've already done is insane to me. What other job allows us? If I don't pay my plumber, he's at my door. He's going to be collecting his money. 22 months to get paid. Oops, I meant to take the name out. Don't sue me. Okay, the pay is too low with most insurance companies, not all. The clawbacks and audits are super terrifying. They create obstacles to you getting reimbursed because they are a for-profit model. And the way that insurance makes money is they charge everybody and then only a few people use the benefits. This is their profit system. When the pandemic hit, everybody started using telehealth benefits and the utilization of therapy went through the freaking roof. This made them less profitable. So you'll notice some of these insurance companies have started throwing up roadblocks. Any of you seen where they're like, you have to see your client in person at least once every 6 months in order to get reimbursed for telehealth? Like, they got to make their profit. So they're making it a little bit more difficult to get paid. So therapists start adapting by like, okay, cool, I'm going to leave insurance, but I'm going to go with a middleman. So one of the people in the group had said, this is exactly why I contract with platforms like blah, blah, blah. We're not going to name any names. I make less, but I get paid on time and I don't have to deal with billing, callbacks, or interacting with insurance companies. All right. So we've already talked about insurance not being helpful, right? But I want to talk a little bit about big tech because I know some of you are partnering with them and you may not know. And then we're going to talk about these proxy companies. I'm going to go fast here. If you are working with a middleman, let me know in the comments. You need to do a Google search to see if there's any lawsuits pending about that company. Here are just a few of the lawsuits that showed up. It was a quick Google search, y'all. So what is happening is that some of them are hiding in their terms and services and their privacy policies that they are not making their money through what they're billing clients. They're making their money by sharing the data with marketing services. And you might be thinking, well, I mean, how big of a deal is it to share data, right? Like our data is stolen all the time on the internet. We're being tracked everywhere. But we're talking data like the pre-screening assessment where a client marks if they're suicidal or not, and then them getting ads related to suicidality. Or couples who have written down that they're thinking about divorce, and then they get ads in front of them for super expensive couples retreats. Now, that's gross in a lot of ways, but I want you to imagine that you're that client's therapist and they come to session and they're like, what the hell? Like, I talked to you about private information and now I'm getting ads about that information. I thought you kept what I said confidential. Okay. So there's a lot of litigation around this right now. A few things for you to look for if you're partnering. Now, this is not everybody, but if you're partnering with them, just look to see, do they share records with untrained staff? Do they solicit testimonials? Many of them do. And your licensing board is not going to be like, oh, well, you didn't solicit it. It's okay. Because when you sign the contract, you're saying, yes, I've read everything and I'm down with it. I'm cool with it. The companies are not healthcare companies. So they're not actually held to the same criteria that we are. One of them in particular, I shall not name a name, did have advertised on their website that they were HIPAA compliant. So we felt safe with them. Turns out they were not HIPAA compliant. So instead of changing what they're doing, they just took that off the website. That's it. So what this means for you is those video sessions that you're thinking are HIPAA compliant, with some of these companies are not. The literal recordings of the sessions are being shared with untrained staff members for them to, gather information, right? So it's a dangerous thing. So in your freebies for today, and Chantel, go ahead and share those if you wish, so we don't forget. In your freebies, there's an assessment tool for you to go through the contract if you're with any of these companies, including proxy companies now, because now they're doing this shit as well, to make sure that they're not doing these things. And it's in the legalese, which stinks. But you could, if you're using ChatGPT, and I'm not saying ChatGPT is a lawyer, and I am also not a lawyer, you can upload the document that I give you, as well as the contract, not just for you, but also for your client, that they give to your client, into ChatGPT and ask it to find any issues that you should be concerned about. So does that answer all the questions? No, but it's a hack to kind of get you moving. I'm going to save questions, Santo, until our whatever our next coaching date is. It's Monday. It's Monday right after the session. Yeah. Okay. So there are 3 steps I want you to take just to cover your behinds. You don't need to leave like tomorrow. So if you're planning to leave, let's do it thoughtfully so your clients don't feel abandoned by you, which they also promote abandonment, but don't get me started. There are at least 3. I'm going to come. Okay, go ahead. I'm so scared to get off.
Sorry. No, well, I don't think you will get off track because it's about the slide you showed about, all these different companies, BetterHelp and et cetera, sharing confidential information, right?
Mhm.
Can we out them on social media? Can we say, like, do a post saying, guess what? You don't have any confidentiality with these 3 companies.
If I were going to do that, I'll be blunt. It's very dangerous to do that.
Right. Okay. Because they could sue me.
They're sending a bunch of cease and desist letters. I have been called into court. So what I would do if I were going to do that is I would take screenshots of the terms and services, the contracts themselves, and you can share those, because that's straight facts. It's not us saying things. You can also share these lawsuits because they're straight facts. So as long as, this is what my lawyer said, as long as I'm not like, they suck, you shouldn't go to them, come take my course instead, right? That's not going to go over, but I would just be careful.
Okay.
Be careful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. And you're welcome to take anything that's not going to get me in trouble. Like, you can take a screenshot and share it. Just don't get me in trouble. So if it's one that's facts, share it. If it's one that's my opinion, please protect me. Okay. So if you are working with them, a couple things. You need to read the contract they give you and their terms and services and their privacy policies. They're so boring, y'all, but it's scary as hell what you find in there. And then you need to get the ones that they give your clients. They're on their websites. You can access them. And a lot of times they're the complete opposite of what you would say in your informed consent, and you're signing them. It's very dangerous. So the second is, most of you have malpractice insurance. You can show that contract to your your liability insurance provider. You usually get 1 free legal consult a year with most of these companies. And you could be like, hi, is this safe for me? And they, more than your licensing board, are your biggest support. Your licensing board is there to protect clients. Your liability insurance is there to protect you. And then if I'm staying with them, even for the short run, I want to run through that with my clients and be like, okay, so here's the deal. I was reading your contract. I read my contract. Here's what I'm seeing that's a little sketchy. Here's how we can keep you safer. And that little form that I give you will go into details about things you can do to keep them safer. For example, in my informed consent, I would tell them, you may get requested through X company to give them a review. Here's why I would recommend you do not write a review. And I would explain it and have them initial it on my paperwork. Then, they're autonomous individuals. They can do whatever they want to do, but at least you've given them the information. All right, let's keep rolling. So all that to say, some of these shortcuts are actually a very temporary fix for a much bigger problem. and they can create more problems for you. I also have a podcast about how to work with them floating around somewhere on the internet. So you can find that as well, or Chantel might be able to drop it for you. The answer is just learn how to get your own dang clients, and it ain't that hard. So it's not really super helpful to continue working with insurance that isn't paying you well or threatening to take your money. Keep the ones that are paying you well if you like them. It's not super safe to be working with big tech. And these proxy companies, it's so interesting what they're doing. I mean, their business model is fascinating. But basically, like, they lured us in, right? They're like, we'll pay you better than insurance will, like, because they negotiated higher rates. We're going to make it easy for you, blah, 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 blah. But now that we're all with them, have you noticed the rates are starting to go down? Because now they're trying to build their profit back up, right? Because they got to make a profit. And if they're not profitable quickly enough, they're also selling freaking data. You should notice the lawsuit that I showed you with Headway, for example. Okay, some other things to be thinking about. Yeah, this is important. I'm not going to go fast here. I'm going to just point out a couple things, because even if it doesn't apply to you, it could really save one of your peers a bunch of trouble down the road. So just to point out, we need to know who the hell the clients belong to in a legal sense. In your private practice, the client belongs in a legal sense to you, meaning you're the clinician of record. So if some shit goes down with the client, you are the one that people are going to come to, right? But if it's with one of these big tech companies, is it them? Is it you? Who keeps the records, right? We're supposed to keep them for 7 years. Does this company keep them for 7 years? If I get court ordered to turn the records over, is it okay that I don't have them and I can point them to this company, but that company is not a healthcare provider? I don't know. They probably don't even have to keep them 7 years. Crap. Should I be making duplicate records and keeping them? So there's some stuff that you need to think through. And frankly, and again, could be my OCPD, it just seems like too big of a headache to bother doing it when I could just do a little bit of marketing and not have to deal with all of that crap. I am going to talk to you, especially in the coaching calls, about if you want to leave any of these companies or insurance, how to have that conversation with your clients in a way that actually brings most of them with you into your private pay practice. So, and not in a gross way where you're like, hey, you've been paying a $5 copay. We're moving to $200 an hour next week. See you there, right? It's not going to be that. It's going to be something that you and they will feel good about. So I just want to check in, is any of this new information, or am I preaching to the choir? So if it's new information to you, say new. If it's like, girl, I got this, say something that reflects that. Choir, thank you. That's a good code word. New, new, new. Oh, good. That makes me happy. Okay, good. All right. The more you know, right? The more you know. So let's go here. I feel like I'm like beating this pretty hard, and I'm worried that you guys are getting bored, just to be super transparent. So like, it's helpful to see your faces. It's helpful to see the chat. Okay. All right. It is not your fault. We are all just trying to get by. Let's move on to hopefulness. Anybody ready to get out of fear now and like move back to hopefulness? Let's do that. Okay. Yeah, I kind of want to know if you knew that you could invest, I'm going to say 3 months, 3 to 4 months in learning how to market correctly. That does not waste a bunch of your time and doesn't involve dancing on social media unless you want to. And then implement for the next 8 months. Would it be worth it to you to invest your time just in coming to these 5 sessions and however many coaching calls you want to come to? I just want to get a temperature check. Like, does that feel worth it? Because I know it's a lot of your time. Like, I'm teaching for 10 hours and then 6 hours of coaching. That's a lot of your time that I am asking for from you, right? Okay. All right. I think, Chantel, are you in the chat? It looks like folks are struggling with getting the bonuses. Okay. For me, I just want to hit home here that if you have felt like you're falling out of love with your clinical work, which is how I started to feel towards the end of when I was practicing, you can fall back in love with it again. If we're working with the right clients, working the right number of hours. There should be a link coming in the chat from Chantel for the bonus, and you can use the code word DREAM to be able to access it, okay? All right. If you're feeling like, man, if only I could do 3-hour sessions instead of 50-minute sessions, if only I could do, I don't know, every 5th week of the month off, if only I could have enough space to do a side hustle, like if only I could give more generously to my kiddos, if only I could, yes, it doesn't matter. The case, capitalized, lowercase, it doesn't matter. Yeah. All right. If it would be worth it to you, I'm really glad to hear that because I want this time to be valuable. So we're going to be learning and doing, learning, doing. This is why there's 6 hours of coaching, because when I learn stuff, I feel hyper motivated to implement. And then when I start to implement, I run into like some obstacle, like, oh, I don't know how to do that part, or wait, how am I supposed to say it? Or, you know, like whatever. So I want you to have time to come in and ask the questions. So come to as many coaching calls as you can. I charge $500 an hour for my coaching calls. So take advantage. And let me just say, charge $500 because I'm like, oh, I'm so worth it. Because most of y'all are thinking, I can't charge $200 an hour. I'm not worth that. I'm not charging $500 because I'm like, I'm so freaking worth it. What happened was the coaching was going so well that so many people were booking it that I wasn't having time to build courses and do all of this other stuff that I wanted to do. So I just kept moving the price point up until it slowed the influx of people enough that I could do the number that I wanted and not more. Okay. So that's what's going to happen with your private practice as well. So you don't have to feel like, I want to start 300. Cool. If you do, let's do it. But just in case you're like, I don't know, what we're going to do is get so many people coming your way that you're going to be like, oh shit, I'm going to have to charge more because I can't deal with all these people coming in. That's the goal. So I just felt like I needed to tell you, I'm not trying to be a show off. All right. If you had more time, more money, more energy, what would you do? So when people graduate the marketing intensive and they have put their year in and they've done the things and they start opening up time, they start getting to do the things that you guys mentioned. So I want to see what those things are for you. I want to show you what they were for me. My husband and I got to travel for 3 months in our camper van. This is in California with our 2 doggies. They got to have that trip with us. For me, money is very much about safety and feeling like I'm going to be okay. You know, like I'm going to be able to pay my bills. I am an only child with no children. I worry a lot about my old age, and knowing that I can take care of myself in my old age is an important thing for me. Speaking of old age, this is my grandma. And when she was in her last year of life, I had just started side hustling and teaching courses and doing private pay. And I had so much more time to spend with her than I would have otherwise. Getting to travel a lot. I freaking love traveling and seeing new places. Getting quality time with this handsome fella right here, who would be mad if he knew I had a picture of him in my slide deck, so don't tell. Traveling in this is a tent on top of a truck that we had. It was very fun. And getting to spend time with my very best friends who live not in my freaking state. So now we have 2 big girls trips a year. And this one was for my best friend's 60th birthday. We went to the Grand Canyon for a freaking week and camped at the bottom of the Grand Canyon and took like a little paddle boat guy down the river. It was epic. It was in the top 3 experiences of my entire life. So I want to show you that it's not just me, because you guys are going to need some, you know, trust and help. This is Tammy, and she says, I have 3 full fee private practice clients, and I love the math she did here. That's worth more than 6 reduced fee clients, saving me an extra 3 hours a week. So she's not just talking about making more money. She's talking about how her time got freed up. Marie says, I just got my first client at my new rate. They are also a therapist. Now my 4th therapist as a client. Maybe this is my new niche. And Liz, who is hilarious. I am truly shook. I've been working on clearing up my messaging, changing my Psych Today profile, and how I'm wording my services on my free consult calls in the past 48 hours. I have 3 new clients at my new price point. Now, I'm not saying this stuff happens overnight, because that would be a lie and misleading. I am saying it happens and it's freaking awesome. So you might be thinking, all right, cool. Yeah, if marketing was the answer, why won't everyone do it? And I heard one of you say this in the chat, like, I'm afraid it's like there are too many people already doing it. Here's the math. Over 90%, I think it's 95, but I don't want to overstate it, of therapists only bill through insurance. So hi, there's room for you. And some funny thing that I've heard several of my clients say, Eric, you've heard me say this so many times, but when I went all private pay into my practice, I had one client and she was like my hype girl. She was telling everybody about therapy with me. And she told me, she just let it slip. She didn't mean to say it. She's like, I need a therapist for my friend who's dealing with blah, blah, blah issue. I know you don't treat that. Who would you recommend? And I was like, oh, let me show you how to use Psychology Today so you can find somebody. And she's like, no. They only take insurance. I want a good therapist. I want a good therapist. In her mind and in the mind of all her friends and everybody that she partnered me with, like doctors, psychiatrists, whoever, to refer to me, they thought that the more you pay, the better the therapist is. Right? She wasn't even looking at anybody charging less than $150 an hour, because in her mind, what did that mean? Now, I will say that I'm a little guilty of this in a different way. When I shop on Amazon and I'm looking for planners, because that's what I do, if a planner is $4, I don't buy it because I assume it's crappy. If the planner is $200, I don't buy it because I'm not trying to spend $200 on a planner. But if it's like 40, even to 70, because I really like planners, I'm considering it. So even I'm guilty of thinking the $4 one is not that good, right? And who knows, it could be the exact same one, but it's buyer psychology and it's an important thing to know, okay? All right, Now, nobody's gonna pay those rates. Y'all, I have spent a lot of hours to try to prove you wrong on this. Hold on, let me see if I can find the slide quickly. Yes. So me and Chatty G, that's ChatGPT to those who don't know, did a whole bunch of math, and I had it look at the average income, the average SES, socioeconomic status, across every single state in the United States to see if there was a single zip code, at least one zip code in that state, who could afford a private pay rate of $150 a session for 48 weeks out of the year. Every single state had at least one. So what does that tell us, right? So here are some of the towns. If you're in the course, I'll give you more towns. What does that tell us? All we got to do is mark it to the right zip codes. That's it. So a little secret hack. Let me see if I have it on here. Oh, dang it. I'm going to just tell it to you because I don't know where the slide is. A little secret hack. You don't need to market to the people for your sliding scale spots or your pro bono spots. They will find you on Psychology Today. You don't need to do that. You do need to market to the people who are going to subsidize your private pay, your sliding scale, and your pro bono spots. If you do a Google search right now for the highest SCS in a state that you're licensed to practice in, you're going to get a town or a zip code, a city or zip code, doesn't matter, whichever one is fine. And then we're going to market to that place. I'll teach you how to market to that place in session 3. We're going to market to that place. So when you say, nobody in my town can afford that, that's fine. That's fine. We'll just find a town that can, because there is at least one, usually many, in every single state. Okay. One of the pushbacks that I hear is, my community can't afford it. We've dealt with that. People can't afford it right now. I feel like we've dealt with that. Let me know if we haven't. We can talk more about it. I can't afford that rate, so I shouldn't charge my clients that rate. Anybody feel that way? Yeah. This is my best friend. I love, Denise is like, no, I do not. I'm glad. My best friend was saying this. She's like, I can't charge people that. I said, friend, how are you going to be able to afford that if you do not charge enough to make enough to afford that rate? Right? Like that doesn't make any kind of sense. So the only way to afford that rate is to be charging that rate. And when she did start charging that rate, PS, she's all private pay, $250 is her rate. She's completely full. She has a wait list, right? She's kicking ass. When she hit that rate, I did say to her, friend, have you told your therapist that you can afford to pay your therapist more now? She hadn't, but she did, because we pay it forward. All right. Now, I do want to spend, like, we got to break some myths here. Marketing for you as a therapist is very different than marketing for most other things, okay? It's different. There are two things that you have to be good at to be a good marketer as a therapist. You have to, you're going to be like, what? You have to be good at empathy. Because how are you going to communicate in the copy on your website that you deeply understand this person and you understand them so well that they feel like you are their sole therapist and they cannot work with anyone else? Unless you can empathize. Also, how do you know where the hell they're hanging out online or in person to get your message in front of them if you cannot put yourself in their shoes and know where they hang out, right? Are your people very intellectual hanging out on Reddit? Or are your people like, I don't know, I can't think of another good example, very mindful and they're going to yoga retreats? We got to know these things to know where to put the message. So empathy is number one. And the second one is being of service. You have to be willing to be helpful out loud in the world for people to get trusting enough to want to pay you to sit with their most painful experiences. So how do you do this? You guys, I'm doing it to you right now. Okay? None of y'all want to pay me a whole bunch of money if you do not know me. None of y'all want to give me all this time if you don't know or trust me. So what am I doing? I'm being helpful out loud. I'm being of service out loud. Number one, it feels really good. And number two, it's the only way you're going to come to know me well enough to know if you want to spend more time with me. So here's how it translates therapy-wise. Have any of you ever made like a worksheet for a client or gotten on the floor and drawn with them with markers or referred a book to them or told them about a podcast? Anybody do any of that stuff? Okay. You were of service. Now, how do we get it outside the therapy room? Could you load that worksheet up on your website for people to just use for fun? Yep. Could you, I remember I had a client who was struggling with panic attacks and we were doing diaphragmatic breathing, blah, blah, blah. And we were having to do it a lot in session. I was like, man, we could be doing other work. So I made a video going over the diaphragmatic breathing. It's still on YouTube right now. I made that video and I was like, let me put it on YouTube so that she can have the linky link. And then other people started watching it, right? I talked about, you could look at them. They're not like, they're a little embarrassing, but it's okay. You can go look. They're my old videos. You don't have to be fancy. You just have to be helpful, right? They were taken with my computer. I didn't have any fancy equipment, okay? So if you will be helpful out loud, you will earn know, like, and trust. And if you will be empathic, then you will get found because you'll know where to be and you'll write kick-ass copy, and I'll teach you how, so that they want to work with you and only you. Okay. All right, we did that. Okay, so a little hint to what we're gonna cover. I'm gonna have to do my setup differently next time. To get found, two things. To be found online, we're gonna harness the power of what I call baby SEO. SEO is search engine optimization. You do not want to pay somebody to do this for you because the way that you need to do it is different than the way that other people do it. Okay. I'll get into the details at another time. Just don't hire anybody. There's baby SEO. And we hack it too. So we're not paying for shit. We can do it ourselves. Like, we don't have to pay for ads. We don't have to pay somebody to do our SEO. We can do it ourselves. It's super easy. It's annoying, but it's easy. And then word of mouth from our own clients who freaking love us because we're only attracting our flow clients. About 1 in 10 people are hyper sharers. I'm a hyper sharer. If I find a pair of jeans that make my butt look good, I'm going to be telling everybody about this pair of jeans. I cannot help myself. You will have at least 1 of 10 of your clients be hyper sharers where they freaking love you. They're like, Denise is the best. You got to go see Denise, right? But that doesn't happen unless you're attracting those clients that you're freaking amazing with. So we will talk more about identifying your flow client because those are the people we want to attract. And 1 in 10 of those are going to be hyper sharers. We're also going to make sure that their providers, like their psychiatrists, their neurologists, their endocrinologists, their acupuncturists, their yoga teacher are also referring to you, and I'll teach you how to do that. And then to get picked, we just have to deeply know your flow client and write about them in a way that follows a formula that helps them know, like, and trust and pick you. And then, and this is very important, you've got to make it easy for them to sign up. Nobody wants to fill out a contact form. The day of the contact form has passed. They want a button to schedule their free consultation with you. So we will be fixing that. In fact, what we see in outside of the therapy world, 600 times more people will sign up if you have a schedule button rather than a contact form. Don't let that scare you. So this is Maggie. She says, I think my caseload is full. Blink, blink. What happened? Because I'd always ask them, like, tell me what happened that filled it. Getting really clear about my flow client. That's my version of niche or ideal client. I think it's much better. And my copy is what did it. I had a few increases in social media that helped with increasing traffic, but mostly it was my website, baby SEO, and the know, like, and trust with potential clients who finally decided to take the plunge due to clear copy. It does happen. Now to figure what maintenance mode looks like. So we've done that one. I do want us to be very careful with the messages that we received about money. I do think it's kind of interesting that in a field dominated by women, we are trained and shamed into believing that we should not be charged for our expertise or charged well, paid well. You know what I'm trying to say. We've covered this data, so I'm going to keep us moving. Oh, we're doing better on time than I thought. Good. So if you had extra time, you only have to see 15 clients a week. PS 25 to 28 weekly is the rate that research shows that you are likely to suffer from burnout and leave the field early. We don't want to do that. We want to be helpful to as many people for as long as possible. So if you had extra time in your week, what's the fun stuff that you would be doing? The meaningful stuff that you would be doing? Let me see in the chat. I need you to hype me up. And if you had extra energy, pop it in the chat. What would you do with that energy? If I could energize myself to get to the gym more regularly, that would be amazing. I have the time now. I'm paying for the membership. Just never seems like that good of an idea in the moment. Offering free meditation groups. I love it. What would you do with extra income? More homesteading. Me too. I could afford playing hockey again. Attracting better intimate partners if my brain was less burned out. Yes. I will tell you, let me just see how many slides we have left here. Oh, we're good. Okay, I'm going to tell you a quick funny story. When I was looking for my therapist, and this was before I was charging my own private pay rates, everybody in the world was like, this guy's amazing, this guy's amazing, this guy's amazing. And I had been seeing an insurance therapist. I was paying like a $20 copay. She was super skilled, but she did not give a shit about me because she was seeing like 40 clients a week. So it was clear that she was bored out of her mind in session. So I was like, I gotta get a different therapist. And I heard about this guy's rate only in our session. So he hooked me. We met for the free consult. I was like, this is my dude. This is going to be amazing. And then he shared his rate and I'm like, I mean, I don't know who you're helping, sir, but it's not going to be me. And he saw my reaction and he was like, you seem to be having a reaction. And I was like, yeah, that's a lot of money. I can't do that. And he's like, okay. practically, if you can't do it, then we can talk about that. I also am thinking this might be sticker shock for you. And so I wonder if you need some time to like sit with it. And I was like, and basically I just wanted to get off the call. So I was like, yeah, sure, time. That'd be great. And he says, let's do this. He was brilliant. He's like, let's meet again in 4 days. We'll just meet for 15 minutes. I'm going to do some math and see if for my family and myself, I can bring the rate down any, and I'll let you know if so and how much that is. And why don't you do some math and see what's really possible for you outside of the reaction, the immediate sticker shock reaction. And I was like, okay. And I did go do some math. I was like, okay, well, I could cut cable. I was really like, this guy's amazing. I can't cut internet. It's my job. And so I came back and I told him the rate that I could afford, which was higher than I really wanted to pay, but I could make it happen. And he told me the rate he could make happen, and they were pretty damn close together. And so we agreed on a rate and we moved forward from there. And it was such a compassionate way that he handled it. And I appreciated so much that he gave me the space, but he didn't leave me on my own. So he said, let's meet again. If he had just been like, you let me go email, girl, I was not going to follow up. But because I knew I had to meet with him again, I actually did the math and did show up. So I've got scripts for all this stuff in the paid course, but in group coaching, I can give you the script. If you tell me what the like hesitations are for you personally and your clients, then I'll walk you through what you can say. So that was just great role modeling for me. And he was worth every freaking penny. I did say to him, y'all, because I don't have a lot of impulse control, I'm like, sir, that is a car. If I go to you for a year, that is a car. And he says, yes. And he just waited. He says, what you're telling me is that you've been in relationships with these narcissistic men, and you would not like to spend the next 6 decades with another one. And I'm like, that's correct. I don't want to spend the next 6 decades with another one. So yeah, okay, it's worth a freaking car. All right, fine. So he was good. He was very good. All right, if you need a therapist, I got your name. So I want us to really be thinking about fears over facts. I walked you through this here. This was the find the socioeconomic status. You can do this today. You can literally do it today and change the zip code on your Psychology Today profile. It's an action you can take right now, okay? I want you to be able to have more freedom in your life, clearly. This is the path. Susan's like, I'm on it. I already did it. This is the path. So empathy. Use that empathy to be of service in the right places where your people are. Use your empathy to get picked because you communicate that you get them. It's not about you. It's about you getting them. And then you will be full. And we're going to cover the get picked, get found on day 3 and 4. But first, we got to figure out what number you actually need. You get lots of freebies. I think I can talk to you about Psych Today. It's not ever going to fill a private pay practice. It's not. When people go to Psych Today, they're shopping for price. So they're looking for insurance peeps. It's not going to fill your private pay practice. However, it has mad high SEO. And anytime your name is connected to something with organically high search engine optimization, it lends some to your name so that you get found in other places. So we're going to hack the heck out of SEO, but that's one reason I would probably keep my Psychology Today, even though I got issues with them, but at least in the short run, because they've paid a lot of money for SEO and it helps you. Here's what's coming up. Man, look at me managing time. Whew, that was a lot to cover. All right, so day 2, we're doing money. We're going to figure out how much do you actually need. So if you want to do a little pre-work and figure out how much am I spending? How much am I spending on my business? How much am I spending on my personal life? Feel free. But I also have a bunch of help for you to do that. So if it's going to stress you out, don't worry about it. But we're going to figure out how many clients you want to see and therefore how much you have to charge them. Then on the next day, we're going to be doing how do you get found? The next day, how you get picked. And then the last day, I'm giving you a quiz on how you know which of the 3 marketing archetypes you are, because you're not going to do all the things at 100%. You're going to do one of the things heavy and then the other two light, because we want to do the minimum marketing necessary. So we'll have a little quiz for you to figure out what kind of marketer you are, so we can figure out what your marketing next steps will be. My goodness, this is little writing. Let me turn. So Sherry here was in VIP in my course, and she said, oh, this isn't relevant to you. These are just people having mad success. Okay, I'll show it in another one. I want to make sure that we get to the end here. I do love what Jen said. Jen had just had a baby when she was in the course. And I remember one of her posts was about, like, I'm sitting with my newborn, I'm getting to work from home, my bills are paid, I feel calm and settled. Oh, it felt so good. She said, I just booked my first couple at my full rate. And it was so hard to pause after saying the amount, because we teach you how to do that. And then this, I don't remember who this is from. It might also be Jen. I had my biggest earning month in January. Previously, my highest earning was almost 6,000. Guess what? I've already broken 6K, all private pay, not full fee yet, but we're working on it. And her numbers are just moving up. So I want you to see examples of it working and not just me telling you it's working. And as we're kind of closing for today, and I'll talk with you, Casey, about your practice name. Don't let me forget, I'll get right back to it. I want you to think about, if only I could blank, I would what? If only I could get over this fear of failure, I would go hard after marketing. If only I could, whatever happens to be for you. Mine was, if only I could stop trying to get my ducks perfectly in a row before I took a jump, I would be living my dream life. I would have been living my dream life 10 years sooner. It was a decade lost. If only I could get over my fear of visibility. If only I could not hear my mother's, this is not my mom, my mother's voice in my head telling me I'm not worth it, I would charge a fuller fee rate. If only I could move out of scarcity, I would let go of this XYZ insurance company. Yeah, thank you, Carrie. Let me see what it would be for you. Okay. There was a question about naming your business. The best name for your business is your name. Best name for your business is your name. I know you want to come up with something really clever. Use the clever thing as a tagline. Unless there's really good reason, like, there's a big scary stalker who's after you. Use your name. Don't change anything if you've already done something different. Okay. But if you haven't named it yet, use your name, because most people are not going to remember Beautiful Horizons Counseling. They're going to remember your name. They're going to remember Carly or Sherry or Corinne. They're not going to remember your fancy pants name. And let's face it, most therapist practice names sound the same anyway, right? Full growth, whatever. Use your name. We also want SEO to be tied to your name. So use your name, use your name, use your name. Okay. If you have already named your practice something else, let's not change it yet, and probably not change it ever. Let's talk more about that in one of the coaching calls, because I want to hear your unique situation so I can give you solid advice, because it's a little, it could depend a little bit. All right, we're going to wrap it up on time. We're 2 minutes before the end of the hour. Does anyone have a question that I could answer for you now? I know you weren't prepared. Show the SCS slide again? Yes, I can try. Let me see. I have to get out of that mode. No, get out of that mode. You guys can find it. Let me just tell you how to find it yourself. So there are two ways. You can go to ChatGPT and you can say, can you tell me the highest socioeconomic statuses in my state? Or you can go to Google and say, give me a list of cities by socioeconomic status in my state. And then, just pro tip here, when I am in Florida, Naples, Florida has very high SES. I would have been ill-served to market to Naples because the average age, the demographic, was not my demographic. So once you have like the top 5 cities, then go to do a little demographic research into the first one. You can literally just Google it and say, what are the demographics of Naples, Florida? And what you're looking for is, does this match with my flow client? You know, if you mostly serve LGBT individuals, like you'll want to find a city with higher than normal rates of LGBT individuals. Wilton Manors, Florida. If you want to target Black Americans, Marco Island, Florida is not going to be your place. It's almost all white. So we want to look at the demographics and the socioeconomic status. Okay, guys. Can you please, just so that I am better next time, because I did not feel perfectly on my game, can you please tell me what stood out to you today as helpful? And I know you barely know me, but I'm going to ask anyway. Could you tell me if there was anything that was like confusing, or if there was a point that I belabored that you're like, I really like, we've heard enough about that? Because we're going to be spending another 8 hours together, plus 6 hours of coaching. And I would like this to be as good for you as possible. Wilton Manors, Florida. Wilton Manors. Let me know in the chat if you have to go. That's cool too. What was helpful? Was there anything that you're like, I really don't need to hear any more about that? I am happy to make this work for you as best as I can. You are so welcome. Thank you, Danielle. I think I am going to ask, I'm going to push it next time. If you guys would put on your cameras, like only 50% of you, it would help me a lot, because when I'm just staring at names, I have no idea what's happening on your faces. And I start sweating, and I am going to project onto that blank screen that you're like bored out of your minds and none of it's helpful. But if I can see more faces, hi, if I can see more faces, it like helps me a lot. So yes, ask the question again later in this series. It's too early to say. Okay, gotcha. All right. Most helpful, keep psych today, change contact form to schedule button. Oh, yeah, you like actionable stuff. Okay, yep. Black therapy for Black girls if appropriate, struggling to find highest SCS city. Just ask Google to rank cities in Michigan by SCS. Okay. All right, I'm gonna keep reading. And you guys, I will share that the schedule is a little wonky this time because I'm living as I hope to train you to. My parents are taking a trip to North Carolina, and I'm going with them. So for a week, I'm going to be in North Carolina, and I didn't want to teach while I'm in the woods and we might have bad internet. So I've built the schedule around that quality time with my parents. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Yes, it's okay to jump in and out of sessions. Awesome. All right, you guys, I love the feedback. I will also be reading through this again before our next session. I hope to see you in the coaching sessions. I really want to help you take this information specific to your situation and be able to act on it. You will be getting an email over the next month that potty break. I needed one too, girl. That talks to you about 10 hacks to get clients in the door quickly. These aren't marketing. Like, this isn't going to work in the long run, but I am strategically trying to get you some money now, so that if you want to be in the marketing intensive, you will have the money to be in the paid program. So keep an eye out. It's going to say something like 10 hacks or 10 ways to get private pay clients now, something like that. Pay attention for that in the next month. If my emails are going to your trash or promo filters, just add me to like your whatever whitelist or whatever it's called. And let us know. If you're not getting our emails, you're going to get a shit ton of emails. But I try really hard to teach in most of the emails, so I'm not just totally bombarding you with marketing stuff. All right, guys, I will see you soon. Bye.